Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my personal opinions review of the Nike Magista Obra 2. Now, for those that are unfamiliar with this series, because I haven't really made a personal opinions video in a little while, this is where I review a shoe based on my own personal opinion on it. So it has nothing to do with tech specs, it has nothing to do with how I normally would review a shoe, where I kind of break everything down, validate whether stuff is good or not, and then kind of let you form your own opinion as to whether or not that product would be good for you. This is just straight up, do I like it? Do I not like it? Why or why not? Because a lot of you guys always ask for my personal opinions down below in the comment section. That's what this video series is all about. So if you're interested in hearing what I personally have to say and think about the Obra 2, stick around, watch the entire video. And with that being said, let's get right into it. To get right to the point, I have to say I'm a really big fan of the Obra 2. There's very little that I can find to criticize about this particular shoe, which I think is a sign of a very high quality product and just a well thought out design in general. The way I really like to review shoes is obviously my experience wearing them. Is there any kind of performance flaw? Is there something that performs particularly well? Is there something that stands out about the feel of wearing this shoe versus other shoes? And the Obra 2 is one of those shoes that you put on and you can't compare it to anything else when it comes to feel. It's entirely different even in comparison to the original Obra 1, but in a very, very good way. Design flaws, there really aren't any with this particular shoe. I'm personally not a huge fan of mid-cut shoes, something that I have talked about on my channel before, but this is very comfortable. It feels like a low-cut shoe in terms of how it fits in the heel area. And I guess if there were something that I really, really would want from Nike with the Magista Obra 2, it would be a low-cut variation. But with that said, I'm perfectly happy to wear this mid-cut model. It fits really well. It's very comfortable. The break-in period and just general discomfort that you would get from, for example, the Magista Obra, the Superfly 4, even the Phantom 2, the first generation mid-cut models that they seem to have corrected with the Obra 2 and the Superfly 5. Like I said, they've done a good job in correcting those issues to the point where the shoe is very, very comfortable. It has a little collar extension piece that's there mainly for looks, in my opinion. It's not something that's going to impact performance in any way at all. It's more for looks than anything. But again, the fit in the heel, it's not really tampered with in comparison to a low-cut shoe. It feels very comfortable. And the fit of the shoe in general is very, very good. For me, the standout feature of the Obra 2 is definitely the Flyknit upper. This is the best knitted upper that we've seen from any company, not just Nike, thus far, by a long shot, in my opinion. So you have this really interesting texturing to the upper itself that's actually within the knitted material. It's not just added texturing to the surface or added texturing internally. You actually have raises and dips in the upper. So when you actually do make contact with the ball, it kind of flattens out and creates this dampened effect while still maintaining a non-bulky feel on your foot. I'm somebody who tends to prefer more padded shoes, leather shoes especially. The Legend 6 is still my personal favorite for those that are wondering, but this shoe gives you that dampened effect that you would expect from a soft leather upper, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily take away from the pinginess and kind of more modern sensation you would get from a thinner synthetic upper, but it's still soft, it's still flexible because of the knitted material itself. And again, it's just a really interesting hybrid of kind of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of feel on the ball that are all worked into one upper. And it's a design that works extremely well, and it's a design that I don't think would be possible without the knitted upper itself. And that's why I think this is such an exciting product, because it's one thing for companies to introduce new materials and new technologies in their shoe, but if the end result is something that feels like something we've had before, it's not that exciting, right? But with this shoe, because it is something all new, something never been done before, and it feels unlike anything else prior to it, I just think that's really, really exciting. And it goes to show that as much variation and as much, I guess, innovation that we've seen in soccer shoes over the last 20 years or so, there's still new things to be had. There's still new experiences to be had. There's new things in the works that, again, are going to give us some more variety that we haven't seen yet. And I think that's just something that's really, really exciting for the future of soccer cleats. And in terms of just futuristic design and technology in general, this is a shoe that is kind of cutting edge in pretty much every single way, especially when you're talking about the upper. It's soft, it's flexible, it fits very comfortably. You have the flywire cable, so the lockdown is still very good. The sole plate and stud pattern, It's nothing too crazy, if I'm completely honest with you guys. I really would have loved to have seen something like we got on the Superfly 5 in terms of having that kind of anatomically shaped bottom, the Nike plate sole plate we got on that shoe. But instead we got something a little bit more traditional, completely flat sole plate with this new, I guess, Magista stud pattern that, in all honesty, doesn't feel too much different from the previous one, but still gets the job done, still a very, very good performer. And all in all, it's a good shoe. The way I like to review a shoe is I wear it, I experience the shoe. Obviously, it's going to have certain elements that perform better than others or certain elements that feel different than others, but I think when I start to decide whether or not a shoe is really good or really bad or kind of in between there is picking out certain elements that I would change about the product, flaws, if you will. I think a great example of that would be the original variation of the Hypervenom Phantom 2, where they introduced that new Nike skin upper that some people liked, but I would say the vast majority of people thought was a little bit too stiff, a little bit too different from the previous variation. It took away from what made the Hypervenom Phantom 1 such a beloved shoe with its flaws, because it did have some flaws in the design in terms of just lacking responsiveness and then some issues with the durability at first. But they took that away with the Phantom 2, and for that reason, a lot of people just weren't happy with the changes that they made. Obviously, they fixed that since then, but that's an example of something in a new shoe with a new design, with new materials that I just didn't think was the greatest. And I don't really get anything like that with this particular shoe. It's a great experience. It's definitely better than the Nike Magista Obra 1. It's also very different from the Magista Obra 1, as good as that shoe was. So all in all, I'm a big fan of these. I think that if you want a knitted mid-cut shoe, this is one of the better experiences that you can get. The Superfly 5 is also very, very good. I know a lot of you guys will ask, what do you like better, the Superfly 5 or the Obra 2? I do personally prefer the Obra 2, but they're very different styles of shoe in terms of how they fit, feel, and perform. I have a comparison video between the two if you want to check that out. I'll leave a little pop-up on screen. It should help you out if you're trying to decide between those two models. But again, if you were a fan of the original Magista Obra, I think that if you do try out the Magista Obra 2, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the changes that Nike has made. And again, I just think it's a better shoe all around and just a very, very impressive technical achievement in general. It's a great shoe, and I think that's why I'm so impressed with it. It's a style of shoe that, while I don't dislike wearing shoes like this, it's generally not my cup of tea, but because of how good this design is, because of how good it actually feels and performs, I'm perfectly happy to wear it. Again, even though it isn't really the type of shoe that I would personally pick off of a shelf to wear for an entire season. But like I said, very good design, very, very strongly recommended. And if you're looking for a knitted upper mid-cut shoe, this should definitely be on your radar. All right, guys, that is it for my personal opinions review of the Nike Magista Obra 2. If you guys are interested in checking out some other Magista Obra 2 videos I have on the channel, you can click the little eye in the corner of the screen. If you have any questions at all regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comment section, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. If you guys do have any suggestions for other personal opinion reviews that you'd like to see on the channel, leave those down below in the comments as well, and I'll definitely take a look at what you guys have to say. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.